Hey guys, so today I'm going to be flipping through my 4th sketchbook. I started this one April 16th, 2022 through October 31st, 2024. And as you can kind of tell, we're kind of going for sort of a mermaid theme. And then here I decided to be very silly with this. I put, "You found me. Send me back to the realm of the sirens. My owner will reward you with a bag of shells." And then, of course, I drew a snail, but I used to spell snails as snal, so it kind of just stuck. And then this is my OC Griffin, who is a merman. Didn't get to doing this until November 19th of 2022, so it's gonna be 7 months before I even approach the front page. And then here we have some little sketches I was doing, and I got a bunch of alcohol markers, so that's what this is. And then here it looks like I was drawing a bunch of chibis. I guess I was trying to figure out what my chibi art style looks like at the time. I really like a lot of these actually, maybe not this one. My chibi art style doesn't really look like this anymore though, so it's interesting. And then here is a lot of blank space because I think I was having a hard time and it wasn't quite turning out how I wanted it to. And I feel like you can especially see it with this because I was trying to draw a picture of a woman in 3/4 view, but I couldn't. I failed miserably. Yeah. Her face is a little bit lopsided, but I tried. I don't know what this is. Heady bit big. I love my little notes that I leave on some of those. They're kind of funny, actually. And then here is one of my OCs that I have, Kristen. Yeah, I tried to color her, but it didn't really work out very well. Here, I guess we have some more sketches, and of course I was hating on myself. And kind of the story behind this one, I think I was drawing some random figure. She kind of just looked heroic, so I made her superhero. And, oh, okay. So, you're gonna start seeing more of these mermaids, because I tried doing mermaid back in 2022. It did not work out at all. Yeah, I tried to do mermaid. And this is one of my characters. I think this is supposed to be Jackie. Her hands look very strange. I hated this drawing at the time I drew it, I'm pretty sure, but it's actually not even that bad, so I don't know what I was hating on, except the hands are a little bit scary looking. And then here I guess we have some more mermaids that are just kind of in here, which were all a part of mermaid. This one's still pretty good, I would say. And then I remember hating on this one because I was like, oh, that's not what Griffin looks like. Ew, stiff. You're gonna see that a lot of me just calling things stiff, but I mean, pretty much they are, so I mean, I wasn't wrong, but yeah. I think this was originally a character I turned into a mermaid. I think that's like the prompt is turn one of your OCs into a mermaid or something like that. And then here's some more mermaids that were a part of the challenge. And then here I drew one of my OCs. This is Zev. He looks really strange. I think I was trying to make it look like he's like bowing as a joke or something because I thought it was funny. Yeah, that's what that is. And then here I drew a random girl. I thought, oh, she looks so competitive. Ha, you think you can beat me? Guys, I'm so funny. And then here's where I gave up on the mermaid challenge. I tried recording it too. I remember I was trying to make a YouTube video of it back then, but it just was not working out because recording in real life of me drawing was really hard for me then. I also just didn't really care for this drawing, so that's one of the main reasons I was like, nah, screw this, I'm done. Which is not the mentality you should have, but I just was struggling to balance that with also being in school, so I just didn't. And I haven't picked up any challenges like that since then. Drawing everyday challenges are not my friend, guys. And on a different note, we have this drawing right here, which I think back in the day I was really obsessed with a Roblox game called Dragon Adventures, where you had dragons that you raised and stuff. That was one of my dragons, basically. And then I guess I just drew a bunch of bodies and thought they sucked, so I stopped and did not finish them, which makes me kind of irritated because these were not even that bad. Okay. This is kind of cringe. You know what, I'm not gonna hate on myself. I was having fun. It was me and my friends having fun, okay? It's fine. So what I did was I was at a sleepover with my friends, and I drew their ideal men. We have Chad, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Armand? Yes, we have these two lovely gentlemen here with us today. And then here, I actually went outside and touched grass. And I drew a bunch of nature. I also drew this little daisy creature. Just holding the daisy creature, guys. Okay, and then this page, I drew kind of like a chibi moth girl. And of course we have the reference to the outdated lamp meme. All of the humor in here is probably gonna be so dated because this was in 2022 and 2023 most of the sketchbook was, so all the humor is gonna probably be really cringe. But yeah, I have her lamping. she wants the lamp. Here, I drew a reference of a girl. I'm pretty sure this is a reference of a girl that I saw on Pinterest. I assume so, because of how nice it looks. It has to be. But yeah, I remember being really proud of this at the time, and I still think this is actually a pretty good drawing, honestly. And then here, I guess these were gonna be characters in something, especially this one. I was gonna make something with fairy, but I decided not to. I already have way too many characters, and the story was just really edgy and cringy for no reason. So I was like, nah, we're not doing that. And then of course I had to reference Creeper Aw Man because I have the brain of a 7-year-old boy, apparently. And then I guess I was sort of making fun of my past self for how I drew, which that's not really what you should do. I tried drawing like my younger self, because there was a brief period of time where my art looks like this. So there's that. I think part of what reason I did that is because I drew this character who was an old OC of mine. This is the founder, and my cousin had a story where he was the bad guy, basically. So that's what this is. Evil villain, lol. Scary ah. And then I guess I was starting to thumbnail out what I was gonna do for the first page. That's what that is, and I drew Griffin here. Yeah, also this was my friend's drawing, by the way. If you ever see drawings that look uncharacteristically like my art style, like they don't look like it at all, that is because it was a friend or some child that drew in it and not me. This was one of Peach's palette's characters. I'm pretty sure she had a draw this in your style that she put out. I ended up being late to it, so I never got to actually share this and be a part of that. But now you get to look at it, guys. I drew her like not 5 years ago, bro. How old do I think 2022 was? Okay, like 3 years ago I drew this, guys. And then it looks like I drew a bunch of eyes down here because I think I was trying to figure out how I wanted to draw eyes. Later on I also did something like this, but you'll see that later. Okay, and then here I decided to do a self-portrait of myself. I was very tired when I drew it, so that's why I look like that. And then this is my OC Kristen again. She looks kind of strange. I didn't quite get the proportions right. I really hated this drawing when I first drew it. It's not that bad. I don't know why was I being such a hater? And then also here, I guess I was doing some landscaping studies. So that's what those are. And I also drew with some pen, which I've not drawn with pen in so long, and honestly I probably should do that again because it's really good because it forces you to make decisive lines and also not to be as much of a perfectionist, which is something I have a hard time with. So I ended up drawing these in the dentist office, these frogs. Basically, I had a photo of a frog, it was this frog right here, that was sitting by my grandparents' pool. So I basically drew that frog, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make fruit-themed frogs. So I have the banana frog, the lemon frog, and the strawberry frog. And honestly, in my opinion, I think the banana frog is the peak one. This is the one that looks the best. Okay, and then of course I have another drawing from one of my friends and more drawings from my friends. And then of course I drew these guys right here, the duck and the frog, and this girl. I still think her facial expression is really it's really kind of funny. And then here I used a color pencil to draw a chibi girl. I really like this one. This is probably one of my favorite drawings in the sketchbook, actually. It's so simple, but it's really nice. Also, apparently I was trying to draw foxes too. There's so much happening in this sketchbook, but I was trying to draw animals and I was thinking, oh, I'm just gonna draw some foxes because that's an animal that I really like. So I decided to try drawing them. I think this one's probably the best one, honestly. And then here we have some drawings that are not mine as well, that were from a friend I had. You see ones that look like this, those are someone else. And apparently I was misspelling cactus here, because of course. But yeah, I have some doodles of random people, and this is an OC of mine, right there. And I guess I was trying to draw in a side profile, but I'm not very good at side profiles, especially at this time. I was actually even worse than I am now, of course, because, you know, you improve over time, but Yeah, that's what that is. At least I was trying. I'll give myself credit. I was actually putting in effort, which is better than younger me ever did. And then here I drew some turtles. I ended up making a full illustration out of that. It was actually, I think it was actually the first ever illustration I made in Procreate, so that's interesting. And then apparently we have a bunch of chubby bunnies. There's a bunch of chubby bunnies throughout the sketchbook too. But this cluster is especially interesting because we have this thing, front view, cursed. It's giving the front-facing Phineas, if you guys know what I'm talking about. It's exactly what that is. I'm not gonna give any context for this because it's a whole story that I feel like I don't even remember most of the context. Just know that this was the work of someone else, not just me. I drew another chibi. I guess I colored it in because I wanted to see how I wanted to color chibis, so that's what that is. It's pretty cute. And then here I tried drawing a chibi violet. Apparently I wasn't very happy with it, of course. And then this page, I remember really liking the spread at the time I made this. It still looks pretty cool, but it also kind of it kind of gives off weird core vibes because of the random disembodied realistic eyes. but I don't know, at the time I thought it was super awesome. This is also one of my favorite drawings in the sketchbook. I'm really proud of it. When I first made it, I just sat down and just cooked, I guess. Sometimes that happens when you make art. Sometimes you just sit down and you just cook. It's a part of a story that I'm probably gonna make at some point. I don't know if I'm gonna keep the character design like this anymore though, because I don't know, I'm not really feeling it anymore. But, you know, the story itself is still something I'm working on. I don't know if the perspective on this is actually correct, but it looks really cool, so I like it. This is probably the best perspective I've ever drawn, honestly. Okay, and then this was a character I made with a random character generator. I think I was also gonna make a video out of this, but it didn't ever get worked out. And then this sticker has lore behind it. So I got the sticker for roasting someone in my astronomy class. Yeah. It was all fun and games, by the way. It was all good banter. It was not any malice. And this is an outfit that my friend made. I drew Jamie, and not the best drawing of Jamie, I will say. The facial proportions are not quite right. It has some issues. Here is where I changed up my art style a bit. I kind of changed the way I wanted to do the nose and eyes. It kind of looks similar still, but there are some slight differences. And I feel like this still is sort of what my art style looks like, but not quite. And this art style change didn't still fix some of the anatomical issues I had with drawing faces, because I definitely drew noses way too high up, as you can see, which is fine sometimes, but the fact that I did it all the time is what is what made it not good. But because like it works with the children characters, but whenever you draw anyone who's not a child, it just looks wrong. Which, speaking of, I did end up drawing some of my OCs here. We have Kristen and Cody, and this is a different character who did have a name at some point but doesn't have a name anymore. I don't even know if he's going to be a character in my story anymore. And then I also ended up redesigning Jamie here, which is kind of funny because I kind of redesigned her a little bit recently, actually. But I was trying to come up with a solid outfit for her because originally, before she gets taken to the future, she's supposed to be in the 2010s. But I feel like this outfit isn't very 2010s, besides maybe the shirt. Also, apparently I drew her as a chibi and also Marana. And of course Marana's being silly because, yes. We also have little ghost guys hanging out with us on this page. And more little ghost guys. But also we have a weapon, because how I used to spell weapon. We got a little griffin here holding a snow. And I think this is where I actually designed the front page, because the one back there, I didn't have enough confidence to commit. So it didn't happen originally, but when we got here, this is when it happened. And this is a spread I made that I still really enjoy. It's sort of just there to be artsy. It doesn't really have any deeper meaning or anything. I just felt like doing something that looked nice. I'm not emo, I promise. That is very debatable past me, but okay. Some more sketches and a really chunky round rabbit. And then here I was trying to figure out how to draw child proportions because I think I was trying to draw Kristen and it was not looking right, so I drew a bunch of different children body things, I guess. So that's what those are. This is a comic sort of thing I made. It's got my OCs Marana, Zev, Cosell, and Jamie in it. And I guess it looks like Jamie is pushing over 𝒮𝒃 and he does not like it. He says, cut it out! And then Miranda, of course, joins in because she thinks it's funny. Zev turns around and they just try to act like nothing's happening. They, you know, act casual. So she just stops. He's glaring at her. And then she's whistling like nothing ever happened. This is kind of still accurate to their personalities. Also, on this page, apparently, we also have been blessed with an interesting battle between a ℯ𝓊 with a wee pawn and a chubby bunny. I wonder who'd win, guys. Okay, and then this is some more lore. Basically, I was on a field trip and I was drawing on the bus. I was gonna make a comic kind of thing that shows part of the beginning of Jamie's story. And I stopped because it was incredibly cringe and I realized I had not thought it out properly at all. So I quit. But this is all you have. Wow, she really just casually pulled out that old English. I'm not gonna give much context because honestly, I don't even remember the full context, but it was some sort of gang thing. The owl, I guess, was some sort of mob boss. It's just cringy, so I stopped. I was experimenting with using sharper angles and things in my art. This is when that started. And I feel like the application of it here is not bad, but later on, I definitely take it to the extreme and it doesn't look good. Which I'm reversing that now because I'm realizing I definitely put too much angles in my art. And this is one of my characters I have as well. I redesigned her recently, she doesn't quite look like this. For some reason, I have her smacking 𝒃𝒃. Yeah, I don't know, there's a whole story thing behind that, but this does not happen in the story anymore because what the heck. Also, here's them younger. A silly little Miranda. It looks like I drew my character August as a chibi here. I actually really like those. I think those are pretty cute. And then I guess there's a Violet there too. And then here's some more of those characters from the same story with August. We have Violet, Jackie, and character who does not have a name. Yeah, these characters don't quite look like this as much anymore, especially Jackie. I did change up her outfit because it's set in the 80s and I feel like this is not 80s accurate. And here I guess I drew some mermaids mermaiding or whatever, which I really do like the flow of them. I think drawing mermaids back in the day really did help me, I guess, to draw more flowy poses. Also, I guess I drew a chub bunny. It's a chubby bunny that's a mermaid and it's very beautiful and gorgeous. Here I used some Tombow skin color markers I had. We also have a Kristen that I forgot to mention right here. And this page is kind of just a beautiful mess. I gave up on this drawing for some reason. I don't really know why. It wasn't even that bad. It was actually pretty good. I think if I'd actually given this guy a face and hair and stuff, it would have been a drawing that I actually liked. But no, I gave up on it because I was perfectionisming. I guess I was drawing like little doodle guy things. I have no idea what these are. These are like weird little aliens. I love them so much. And I guess I was also trying to figure out wing placement for a fairy characters I was making. And just some more doodles, I guess. I think I was making a lot of these doodles in class. That's why they're kind of nonsensical and weird. And then here I drew myself as a chibi. And then here I guess we have a little kid looking at a bug. That's really cute. I'm not really sure what this is. Also in this spread I was trying to draw this guy, I guess, holding his phone. I don't know exactly what my goal was with this drawing. It looks a little bit goofy. And also apparently cringy emo. I was hating on myself and calling myself ugly, so I was drawing myself as what I felt like I looked like. I agree with myself when I wrote cringy emo because yes, that is very angsty emo, unnecessary. Here I guess I decided to draw a mermaid sitting down. And for some reason there's just a girl sitting behind her tail and she's eating a cookies. It's such an interesting placement. I don't think I intended for it to be like that, but that's actually really funny. Also we have scrambled bunny. And I guess I was trying to draw my OCs doing something, but it was not working, okay? And then this Mr. Clean cursed drawing, it was made by me and my friend on a field trip. And we were bored. This is what happens when you get bored. And then we have two Kristen drawings. This was a reference I drew as well, so. Here's another reference from Pinterest too. I didn't fully finish this, but I think drawing this actually taught me a lot about folds and wrinkles in clothing. And then I guess we just have some random pen sketches. And some more pen sketches. Because apparently, I guess I decided I need to pick up the pen. And I drew Jamie here, apparently, which this is also not the best Jamie I've ever drawn. I think this is a decent one compared to the last one I drew in here. Also really love the chibi I made of her. It's really funny. When me not happy. And then this is a chibi of 𝒯𝒽 too. He's an artist, so he drew his friends. And then here's the first appearance of an OC of mine named Ben. This is the adult version of him. It was hard for me to draw men back then. I was not very good at it. I redrew him and he looks more like a man later. Here, I thought it would be funny to draw a vampire bat boy, and he's drinking blood juice, but it's from a juice box. I don't know. Listen, I thought it would be absolutely hilarious, so I drew it. Some random drawings and me choosing to crash out for some reason. And then these right here were going to be pens I was planning on maybe making. Some of them have random memes or just different things. I like to take those metal caps that come on those glass soda bottles or beer bottles or whatever. You can usually find them on the ground in some random parking lot or something. I love collecting them, cleaning them up, and just making actual pens out of them. Can we talk about this one? This is very interesting. And then here, I guess I was complaining about the fact that I can't draw men. But then I eventually sort of rectified myself because I drew Ben here. This is the newer drawing of Ben. Let me go back to the old one so you can compare. This is way better. His body is a little bit weird proportionally. I think I made his torso too short. I should have elongated it a little bit. I think it's just because I was not thinking about where the page stopped right here. Also, this was a reference of an actual man that I drew because I guess the Ben drawing made me realize, the Ben drawing and this drawing made me realize, you know what, I'm gonna draw a reference of a man so I can get better. And I guess this is supposed to be a drawing of a persona or something, and I didn't really like it back then. And these are supposed to be characters I have. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna make their story into something or not, because I already have so many stories and I don't know if it's really necessary. And then here is an adult version of Jackie that I drew. I still like this for the most part. I still think this is a decent drawing. This stuff over here, I did this for a video basically. I was sort of experimenting with a different person's art style. It's actually Peach's palette, which is another YouTuber, because it was a video where I basically drew in other smaller art YouTubers' art styles. So this is just one of them. I'm not very proud of that video, honestly. It's a little, but it's okay. Also, I drew a bunch of chubby bunnies, because of course. I drew myself as a dude. I don't know, I was bored on a bus ride for something for school. Me and my friend kind of came up with one for her as well. And then I drew a Kristen right here. And then here's more from that video of drawing in small art YouTubers' art styles. One is ℯ𝒃𝒊𝓉. I don't know that she even uploads anymore. This one, so basically, this was during high school. Like, this whole sketchbook was during high school, okay? I think the whole thing, or at least most of it was. The people that I sat at lunch with, one of the girls kept joking about being a sickly Victorian child with tuberculosis, which is honestly awful, but it was kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. So I drew a sickly Victorian child. Mother, I hate your broth, yet it sustains me with tuberculosis. And then this is something my cousin drew. I remember being pretty proud of this at the time because I was drawing people interacting. I didn't used to do that. I feel like I've gotten a little bit better about doing that now, but still could do more, honestly. It has some issues, doesn't quite make sense, but I'm still so proud of it. I don't know, I just drawing two girls, I guess, doing a selfie together, I don't know. Here I also have a drawing of Griffin. I'm still pretty proud of this drawing, actually. I think it's pretty solid. This one is sort of another joke. There was a girl that was at my high school who every time she saw swoopy haircut like this, she would go, 2 scoops please! She thinks it looks like an ice cream scoop. Here, I think it was something I ended up making into a finished illustration. There were lore implications in this for Jamie's story, but all that's changed now. This is no longer relevant. Here, I was coming up with some concepts for a different story that I'm working on that's like completely separate from all my other stories. That's supposed to be the main character, and I gave her a younger sister. I don't think I'm gonna keep the younger sister. I think I'm just gonna have her be an only child. I think that might be easier, honestly. And this thing also coincides with that. It's like a little dragonfly creature. Here, I'm pretty sure I made these whenever I had a snow day, because when I was in high school, they used to make us do these things called AMI days or whatever. Basically, you had to still do work for class outside of school, even if it was a snow day. These were from art class. So I was storyboarding for this little animatic I wanted to make. It was gonna be for state competition thing, but I never finished it because I was so busy with all my other schoolwork. But I'm kind of sad I did it because I think it has some interesting aspects to it. You can kind of look at it if you want. Also, apparently this is supposed to be a drawing of Violet. Here I did something kind of interesting. I halfway did this in pen and pencil. I think it's because I did the pencil part at one point and then I went back and finished it in pen. And then I guess here I had drawn some Kristens, and then here's some more sketches. A lot of these are half finished, of course. I didn't realize until looking through the sketchbook how many just half finished stuff I have in here. And then I guess I tried to draw a mermaid here, but it's like a coral mermaid. I made her top made out of a chunk of coral. It was an interesting idea. I just don't know that I quite executed it very well because she's like holding a seahorse. And then here was a drawing of Jamie. I was trying to do foreshortening and struggling. And I mean, it's not too bad. I think it's actually fine. I also kind of like the spread just in general. I did a lot of sketches that were gymnast. It kind of helps with, I guess, knowing where the joints are and then also how arms and legs move, or maybe how even the torso bends and things like that. And then here I drew some chibis. And I guess whatever I was drawing here, I was not amused by it. Yeah, that's interesting. I basically drew this off of a reference photo of, I guess, an old man with a cat on his shoulder. It's pretty good, I think, but I kind of condensed his face a little bit too much. And when I drew the cat, I was like, this looks so strange. I definitely need to work on drawing animals. I'm not, like, amazing at drawing animals. It's kind of an issue. I also drew another reference photo from Pinterest as well. And then here is a drawing of Kristen. I was kind of trying to draw a different facial expression. It is pretty fun, I think. Also, as a side note, I don't know if you guys have noticed in the sketchbook, but the way I draw shoulders, it's so pointy. There's some examples back there that are more egregious, but I'm so glad I don't draw shoulders like this really anymore. I stopped doing it because I realized it wasn't really anatomically correct, but also it just looked weird. I couldn't make it, like, people can style, if you know anatomy you can stylize well, but I didn't, so it just looked weird. This is based off an event that happened at my brother's birthday party. It's not even that funny. I was listening to an Imagine Dragons song for nostalgia's sake. I think it was Monster. And I looked at the video, someone in the comment section put lobster, a lobster. I turned into a lobster, and a lobster, and it keeps getting stronger. So I drew a lobster. Imagine lobsters. Here I drew a Kristen drawing. I redesigned her outfit because she is a child in the 80s, and so drawing her as a child, some of the outfits I put her in were not really fitting the decade, I feel like. So I basically designed this, I gave her this outfit based off Macy's catalog or something like that. And my miss, I guess, was about my hair change. Yeah, I had shorter hair. I think this was the first time I ever played D&D. This was my character. Just some elf dude. And then I also remember that same day trying to study arms. I hate drawing arms and legs. They confuse me so much. I really could benefit from more, I guess, studying like this. Although I didn't like the drawings I made. I thought I was like, this sucks, especially this. I was like, that's so off. But I mean, you gotta suck before you get good, I guess. Here's another drawing based off a reference photo. I'm also pretty proud of it. It's another like older man. I'm still pretty proud of this, honestly. It looks nice. I like how I drew his nose. And then here I was starting to thumbnail for the last page in the sketchbook, because every time I do sketchbooks, I like to redraw the first page on the last page to kind of see my progress. It looks like I tried to draw one of my characters, August. I don't like how I drew her. This is not really a good example of what she looks like. I have a more updated design of her. I think it's way better. And then here is the last page. We're finally here, guys. This is my OC Griffin, of course. And I have mixed feelings about the final page. I'm gonna compare it to the original, like the first page, and let you kind of see what I mean. So here's the original one, and then here's the updated one. There are some things that I like about the new version, but there's also a lot of things that I think are just not that great. I kind of messed up the angle of his body a little bit. There's something kind of off in this area. To be fair, this is not perfect either. This is kind of worse actually with the torso area because the way his body is bending. We should be seeing more of a shoulder. But there's also just something about the stylistic change that I wasn't really caring for. And I feel like recently I have tried to fix some of those things. I realized, okay, I need to track back here. I don't really like some of the stylistic choices I've been making because I feel like they don't really work very well. Like, for example, the shoulders, I just don't like how I drew that. I feel like this looks a little better because the way it eases into the neck more. I do like some of the facial proportions a little bit better. He looks a little bit young here. But yeah, there's just different things, and that tends to happen. Sometimes you draw, it's not always a steep improvement up. Sometimes you get things like this where there are good things about it, but there's also worse things about it than the original. But yeah, I ended up finishing this sketchbook, I think October 31st of 2024. I literally finished it on Halloween night. And also, I drew another little snow to accompany him. And then let's look in here because there's always always interesting stuff in like the pockets of my sketchbook. So the first thing, we have a strawberry frog sticker made by one of my friends from high school. Nice. This, I think, was an origami that my friends from high school also made me. And this is a crayon drawing that I made. I don't know, I just wanted to experiment with that. Yeah, so I basically did some pose studies with this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Have a great day and God bless you guys.